What is up, everybody? Tyler here with TCG University for the card game UniVersus, and today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my Water Sela deck that I did for this week's Best of the Set Campus Championship. In this Campus Championship, we all got to pick a set from UniVersus, and we picked one character from that set that we were available to play because we have a list of characters that we can only play once during a campus championship, and nobody else got to play from that set. And we decided to make 8 sets. We needed either the DLC as a whole or champ cards, and we picked DLC. And through that DLC, I picked Sela. So that explains why I'm playing Sela. But also because we don't have a deck profile on her yet, and I think this is a very good baseline Sela that is just this is a very excellent base, right? This is what you could very easily build something off of if you want to play the water symbol, and it just does what Sela wants to do at a very, again, base level. So I hope it's all right, and I hope you enjoy it. But I guess just hop right into it then. Enough farting around. So let's talk about what Sela likes to do. Her top ability is you get to discard one card from your opponent's card pool on your attack, and you get to build a face down from it. I really like this top ability. It's something that Team Fatal Fury used to do in the King of Fighters set back in the day. They would ditch stuff out of your opponent's card pool and get advantage for it. This isn't necessarily as strong as that because they got like plus damage or plus speed and stuff for doing it. This just lets you build a face down, which making sure that your opponent has less progressive on block just so you can have one more card to commit for a check isn't the most amazing thing in the world, but underwater you have a lot of options to just stuff face downs into their card pool, and that's where I think it really shines, is being able to like overrun your opponent with cards in their card pool so that they can't do anything, and then ditching one to make sure that you get a build foundations isn't a problem at all. Or ditching however many you want for however many attacks you play, because it's not a once per turn or anything. You just get to keep doing it as long as they have cards in their card pool, which I think is very, very cool. It's an ability that they could have very easily just made it twice per turn, but they didn't, which is nice. And then she has a responsibility where after you play a multiple ability, your opponent stuffs one card in their card pool for each momentum you've discarded for that multiple ability, which is awesome for like multiple threes. Being able to give something essentially plus 3 speed, which is what I was mainly using it for, is you'd stuff all this stuff into their card pool and then not ditch anything. And now your attacks just are like very hard to block, and then you just get to pump them through. Because with this deck, damage was like the biggest problem. Everything in this deck is going to be a 3 damage attack, which you'll see why later. But it meant that having all this extra speed meant it could actually like go through and kill somebody. But that's what Sela likes to. Let's hop into the attacks. And first attack we're going to be talking about is Windmill Punch. It's the main reason why everything is a 3 damage attack. One of the main reasons why everything is a 3 damage attack. It says if it is a 3 or lower damage attack, printed damage, it gets plus 1 damage. So it's all pseudo 4 damage. And this has multiple 3, which means like it's great in Sela, being able to stuff 3 cards in their card pool. And then those multiples will discard after they resolve, meaning you can play more attacks afterwards, is I think fantastic. And I think it really complements the deck well. It's damage and it's multiple. It's perfect. Next one this is the other reason why everything is a 3 damage attack, and it is Swallow Your Soul. This card is amazing in this deck. So the second biggest problem in this deck, I think, is momentum generation. And this card says that as long as you have like a Windmill Punch out, this guarantees gets you momentum unless they play around with it, but there's not a whole lot of cards in the game that people are playing to stop throws. So this will guarantee just get you the momentum that you need to smack them with a multiple, and you not have to like wait a turn for all your attacks to do damage, go to your momentum, survive a turn, come back, and then finally kill them on the next turn. This says, I'm getting a momentum right now, and I'm going to play a multiple later and kill you with it. Awesome. And it's a bunch of damage by itself because you get to play it and another thing Get +2 damage and then +3 damage if you have another one in your hand. Really great stuff. The +4 block modifier isn't great, but that's whatever. You deal with it. We're playing 3 Sublimating Blade. Now, this card says that you can use 3 damage attacks in your card pool for 3 or lower damage attacks. That's important because you face down momentum or face down multiple attacks count towards this. So you can also use face down multiple attacks to give this thing to multiple 2 with this thing. Sorry, that was a little bit of a convoluted way to say it, but hopefully you got it. The thing about this card is you don't get to activate Sela when you play the multiple off of discarding cards from your card pool. She only works if you discard the momentum to pay for the multiple. I still think it's pretty great, though. Also, this thing has an ability that says discard momentum, give it stun 3. I never knew that because I never paid attention to that part of it. That's crazy. That's insane. This card's nuts. It's probably why it's a 2-check. I like that card a lot for it, though. We're only playing 2 Reverberate because we only bought 2 of the comic books, which is the easiest way, I'll say, to get Sela. It comes with 1 Sela, 1 Reverberate. So if you want to have 4 of these, I'd say buy 4 comic books. That's only like $20. That's not a bad deal, especially for this card. This card is a $5 card, something like that. I think it's great. A multiple 2 that says you get to destroy a foundation for +3 damage. Like I said earlier, the biggest problem with this deck is damage, and this isn't 3 damage, so it doesn't get a bonus from all your things that deal with 3 damage attacks. So this saying that I can start destroying my face down foundations that I build with Sela to give a bunch of damage. Also, it's a Sela reversal, so you can reversal with it, multiple 2, stuff 2 cards in their card pool, and then this is 3, 5 mid for 7s. Basically, 7 mid for 7s coming at your opponent. 7 mid for 8s, actually, because they have to have attacked you first. That's insane. In Sela, this card is like, it needs to be higher. But that would require us to buy more comic books, which we just haven't done yet. Maybe in the future. Like I was saying earlier, momentum generation is like the second biggest problem in the deck, which is why we're playing 4 Fatality. This is one of the few decks in the game where Fatality is actually a card that you want to play a lot of. A free momentum that also for things like Yin and Yang, it's a combo attack. So we'll talk about Yin and Yang in a second, but it being a combo and it being free momentum is, I think, fantastic. It is a little bit unfortunate that it takes up one of the attack slots in the game. If you're a person like me, you only play a certain number of attacks because of the 3 check or because of the bad check. So it taking up one of those spots means that you don't get as many attacks, but you're playing a bunch of multiples, and those are free attacks, so I guess it sort of evens itself out. And then the last card we're going to be playing is Deflection Swing, or the last attack we're going to be playing is Deflection Swing. Sometimes when you build down a foundation, it's a cool attack that you want. Well, Deflection Swing gets to say, I'll build in a ready foundation and then pick up that face down. So I can commit that face down to pass whatever and then add it back to my hand if it's a real cool attack. If not, it's just a free draw one, which, hey, that's not bad at all. I'll just build in the face down, pick up that face down that I just built in, play it out later. It's great. Also, it's a reversal that gets a bunch of stuff when you play it as a reversal, which is, pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's pretty all right. Then we'll move on to the attack or the actions and the assets. The first one we're going to be talking about, like I showed you earlier, is Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang is the perfect card for this deck because it says that when you play a combo attack, you get to stuff 2 cards in your opponent's card pool, which is great for Windmill Punch. It's great for Swallow Your Soul. It's great for Fatality. They're all combo attacks. That means that you get to pop off with Sela. Sela doesn't all the time get to build down foundations. So being able to very easily do it. And when you block with this, you get to pick up an attack that you can kill somebody with on next turn. So you block with this, pick up a Windmill Punch, kill somebody with it next turn. It's perfect. It's great. Amazing card in Water. This is a card that you definitely need to be looking out for. They're ramping up what Water is doing. Or at least it seems like they're ramping up what Water is doing. I can't say for certain, but it definitely seems like it. So you want to look out for this deck. You want to look out for it. It's going to be a very sought after card. I think it's great. The last one, the only asset we're playing in the deck is Krita Yuga. This should be at a higher, I think. Being able to ready a foundation and give an attack +3 damage. Like I said, the biggest problem with the deck is the damage. So this being it makes it not as bad. Giving 2 things +3 damage is amazing. We just don't have a whole ton of them. They're being used in other decks, so what are you going to do? If you can swing it, I would definitely get more of these. Also, the Sublimating Blade gets stun 3, and with this it makes it stun 5. That's super nutty. That's insane. Anyways, that's all the attacks, actions, and assets. Now we'll move on to the foundations. I have 3 different sort of grouping of foundations. And the first one I want to talk about is the aggression of the deck, because it makes up the biggest portion of my 3 groups. And the first card we're going to be talking about is Fatal Disagreement. This card says that Sela gets to build a foundation every single turn. You'll commit it, stuff a card in your opponent's card pool, play an attack, ditch it, and then build in a face down. It's great for that. Or you can now ditch a card from your opponent's card pool, flip it, and they have to stuff another one back in, so you don't lose that advantage of your opponent not being able to block. But it is like a 4-check, which, I don't want a whole ton of 4-checks in the deck. The next card is Greatest Combatant. This just says that with Fatal Disagreement, with Yin and Yang, with whatever, you can make sure that your attacks all get +1 damage. Very needed in the deck. I'll say it a 12th time. Damage was the biggest part about this deck that was a fault. So this being able to say you get like 2 or 3 damage on a bunch of stuff is fantastic. Along with that, the exact same thing. The Last Priestess of the Winds. This says that your multiples now get +1 speed, +1 damage. Or if you need momentum generation, you can play an attack, get 1 momentum by getting rid of its multiple, and then play an attack later that has multiple and be able to multiple out with it. Great card for a multiple deck. Next, Searching for the Knight of Mare. This card I put in aggression because you can really only play it after you've played a combo ability, which means it has to be on your attack. And you're usually doing it so that you can play something later in the chain and kill somebody with it. But that being said, all your combos, whenever you get them off, is crazy, crazy good. It's all great. It's fantastic. Something to look out for with this card. A reason why I almost didn't put it in the deck is to combo off of Windmill Punch. It says combo enhance, add 1 card from your discard pile to the top of your deck. So what I first saw was, oh man, that sucks. I don't get to do that. But then I realized that you can just play the combo, add 1 copy of Windmill Punch from your discard pile to your card pool. If you don't have a copy of Windmill Punch in your discard pile, you still get to use the combo enhance because it's just combo E as cost. And then you can flip, stack a face down foundation, and then you can stack a card on top of your deck with Windmill Punch and not have to worry. So it's something to look out for, to pay attention to if you're going to be playing this deck and if you're going to be doing that. And then the last bit of aggression, maybe not. I'll count this next foundation as aggression too. But this aggressive card is Quest for the Hero Sword. I put this as aggression because I'm 9 times out of 10 going to be using it to pick up an attack to kill my opponent with. All the 3 damage attacks in this deck say that, well, I'm not going to die this turn, so I'm going to pick it up and have it for next turn, or I'm going to play an attack and then pick up an attack and then kill you with it. This is great with Fatality. It's amazing to play a Fatality and be like, all right, I'm going to pick up an attack. You can literally do nothing about it. You cannot stop me from adding this attack to my hand to kill you with it. It's great. It's awesome. Maybe needed to be higher, but it is a 3/4 with a 3 high block, so the stats aren't amazing, but you do get to pick up an attack. I guess it's just what sort of flavor you want with the deck. Next is I Have a Sword. Again, when you're playing Sela, you could build in attacks sometimes that you'd rather have in your hand. This says that when your attacks deal damage, you get to pick up a face down. Great for those attacks that you just built down. That's why I put it in aggressive, because I'm usually going to be using it to pick up an attack. I'm not going to pick up a face down foundation unless I really, really want it to block because I have duty blocks in my hand. Anyway, that's all the aggression cards in the deck. This next group of foundations is what I like to call my little helpers. They're just cards that sort of help facilitate what you're trying to do. Tam might call them flow cards. If you've heard us talk about our graph of aggro, aggression, flow, and disruption, or aggro, defensive, flow, disruption, then that might be the term for it, but I like my little helper. Dreaming of Become a Whole. This is whenever you play a multiple ability, you get to ready it, or you get to sometimes give plus to your checks, but I would never do that because I'd rather have my momentum to multiple out. But it's in a pickle, you can use it for that. A Sun's Love, form, commit, draw card. Really, it's a staple card, and I think in these three symbols because it's a free draw. And if your opponent wants to get momentum, you get to draw 2 cards. I saw Jeff the other day in this tournament kill somebody because he got to pick up. He committed, drew a card. James decided to get the momentum because he needed it, and then he drew the attack that let him kill him with it. So amazing card, staple in the deck. Along with staples, Ageless and Wise, it's just saying that your opponent can't touch your foundations is fantastic, especially on a 1/5 2 low block. It covers so much so easily. It's just a very good card. At this point, Ageless and Wise is if you've watched any of our deck profiles, you should know that that almost all decks with these 3 symbols will be playing 2 to 3 Ageless and Wise. It's a very easy to put in card in every single deck that you can. It is like the definition of a staple. 2, Syndicate Target. Now, real talk, I put this in the deck because I wanted a little bit more low blocks. And on a 0 low block with a 0/6 is fantastic. The stats on this card are insane, which is why it has no ability, and the static on it says that if you block with it, you lose a vitality. That doesn't really matter though, because everything else about it, I think, is crazy. I really like that card. And then the last of our little helpers is Manifestation. Being able to say that your opponent doesn't get to stun you is pretty good. Or when they do stun you, you get to sort of mitigate it a little bit. And then it being a 1/6 2 high block is absolutely fantastic. The stats on that card are crazy. But that's it for our little helpers. And then the last ones we're going to be talking about are the defensive elements of the deck. There aren't a whole ton. It's just 2 foundations, but I think it is fine. I mean, if you play smart, you'll be able to win with this deck. Maybe. The first one is Venomous. Canceling your opponent's draw is, I think, extremely necessary. This card just needs to be in the decks. This card is another definition, I think, of a staple. Canceling draw is crazy. It's amazing, especially on a foundation that you can commit and still be able to cancel it. Nutty. If it had a block, it'd be a 4 of in every single deck that could play it. And then the last one is Toughest Punk of Junior High. Toughest Punk in Junior High. Flip -3 damage on an attack. Blocked or unblocked, I think, is very, very good. It lets you survive just a little bit longer at a very low cost. Just flipping a foundation is nothing in this game. And being able to take half damage from an attack is crazy. It's perfect. It's great. And there you have it. That is my Water Sela deck that I played for this week's Best of the Set Campus Championship. I think that is a very good, I think it's a very alright base Sela deck. I think it definitely does need improvement. It could definitely use more defense. It could probably use more damage too. I know that Liu Kang has a card that says +1 damage, +1 speed, or just +1 damage for every card in my opponent's card pool. It's one of those two. Either way, it's insane. I have no idea why I wasn't playing it. I thought about it right as I set the deck down to play it for the first match. I was like, oh man, I hella should have been playing that. Oops. But anyway, I definitely think that this deck could use improvement, and I'd love to see that improvement. If you like this deck, definitely try it out. I think it's a good way to feel Sela out, to find out like what you like and don't like about her. I think it's a very good show of that. But that's that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you want to see this deck in action, go check out the Campus Championship, the best of the set. There should be a playlist for it on the channel right now. And if you want to support us at all, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, do all the fun stuff. I'll just say, liking the video is the best thing that you can do for the channel. It shows YouTube that that this is content that other people should see. It's the easiest way for it to get passed around with the algorithm, and that's the best thing that can happen with the channel, is just get more people seeing our videos and recommended. But that's only if you want to. I'm not going to shield too hard on it. But if that's if you want to. Anyways, thank you all for watching this Sela deck profile, and have a wonderful night.